Hello everyone, I'm Maria and welcome or welcome back to my Nook. Today I am starting another reading vlog and it has been a while since I did my last reading vlog, but I am excited and also a bit curious to see how I'm going to do this reading vlog, because the book I am currently reading is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. This book is the January pick of the book club I'm in, which is hosted by Cassandra Lynn and Katie is Reading. They're both booktubers and I've talked about them here and there, so you probably know who I'm talking about. They're hosting a book club and you can easily join anytime. You can also just decide every month whether you want to read the book or not. That's what I've been doing. Like, so far I read their August pick, which was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, but I read it in September because I only heard about it then, and I'm planning on reading their, I think it was their October pick, which was Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. And I'm planning on reading their December pick, which was Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tao, I believe is the author's name. Well, now this is the January pick, and guess what? I am actually reading it in January. I have to say, first of all, this book is a brick. It's 662 pages long. I'm currently on page 338, so I'm halfway through the book. I met that goal yesterday, and it is slow. It is so slow, like, not just in a sense that the plot is moving along slowly, but I also feel like, I don't know how, but just it's so slow. Like, the audiobook for this thing is 28 hours long. 28. And I don't understand why or how, because A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, which was 624 pages, so basically the same length, was only 19 hours long. I mean, that's already long, but still 9 hours shorter. A Conjuring of Light was like a bigger book, and I think it had larger text. So that probably makes a difference, but does it make 9 hours of a difference? I don't really understand, but it is what it is, I guess. I'm trying to listen to the audiobook at like 1.2 times the speed at most times, which does make it a bit quicker, and I can't really listen to it even more quickly because then I'm starting to stop understanding what's going on at some points. Which is also another thing. After like the first 200 pages or more even, my brain was really starting to demand reasons as to why I should stay interested and stay focused. Like, I was and am interested, but my brain just wanted to have a reason why I should keep going, you know what I mean? And I've already been reading this book for over a week now, which tells you how slow this is going. And it's not like I'm not reading a lot. Like, I'm reading, I think, at least an hour every day. But the thing is, there was one chapter, for example, and there's more than that, but one chapter that stuck to my mind especially was one that was like 40 minutes long on audiobook, and I was like, yay, I made so much good progress in the book. And then I grabbed my physical copy and checked how many pages it was, and it was 13 pages. Not more than that. I could be reading for 3 hours and then realize, oh, I've only read like 40 pages. So that's why this is going so slowly, and I don't have time to read 3 or more hours every single day. I still have about a week left to finish this book, and I am positive that I am going to finish it, but it might get close. So that's why I'm curious to see how I'm going to make this reading vlog. Because this is going to take me some time, okay? I should probably tell you what this book is about. So this book is about Quoth, who is a famous magician and a big and good magician, I guess. He is actually so famous that some people believe that he is a myth. And now this chronicler, like the chronicler, he's a storyteller basically, but not the kind that sits around a campfire and tells creepy stories. He is someone that goes to people and asks them about their life story, I guess, and then writes it down and later puts it into a good narrative and like sorts it in a way that makes sense, because oftentimes when people tell their life story, they're like, well, this happened, and oh, by the way, this also happened, and that actually happened before that, and oh my gosh, did I tell you about this? And you know, he kind of sorts everything the way it makes sense. And he went up to Quoth and was like, please, can you tell me your life story, please? And after some great hesitation and thinking, Quoth was like, I will tell you my life story, but you have to cancel all your meetings and it will take 3 days. Now this book is part of a series and it is day 1 of him telling his life story. This is day 1. And the second book, The Wise Man's Fear, is day 2. And then there should be a third book, which would be day 3, but the second book came out like 11 years ago and there hasn't been a third book since, so I don't know about that. I mean, apparently Quoth has a lot to tell. So far we've learned that he grew up in a troupe and his father was basically the boss of that troupe. Their troupe was, I think you can kind of imagine it like a circus without animals, but they were like singers, jugglers, acrobats, actors, and they traveled the country under the name of some baron and put up shows in different towns, stuff like that. And he grew up in that. He learned a lot about singing and acting and all that sort of stuff. And sometimes people would travel along with them because in some areas of the country it was safer to travel in a group than to travel alone. So people would sometimes just join their troupe for a certain while until they reached their destination or whatever. And there was this one person who is an arcanist. It's really hard to explain what that is because it has to do with the magic system, and the magic system is actually kind of complicated and I can't fully describe it yet, also because I haven't finished the book yet. But he could do a lot of stuff. He was actually a really smart man and he taught Quoth a lot of things when he was like 11, 12-ish. But then he left the troupe because of another thing. And after that, an incident happened and Quoth had to like survive the summer in the forest, and then he got to a bigger city and was homeless for like 3 years until he was 15, and then he traveled to the university. It's literally called the university, where they teach all sorts of stuff, including like magic. And they have a huge archive of books, so much knowledge, which is basically what Quoth wants the most currently. And I have to say, like at some point, as I already mentioned, my brain was needing a reason why to stay interested, but ever since growth arrived at the university, my interest has really been reignited. Like, I've been so interested in the part where he's at the university, and I've been enjoying that so much. But it's still kind of hard sometimes to get through the book because it is slow, and I am a tiny bit bored at some points. I will see how I'll continue with this book. Also, I've heard people say, even people that said they found this book incredibly slow and stuff, that after finishing the book they wanted to start the second book immediately. I don't really see that for myself right now, I have to say. Like, I don't know what's up with the ending of this book, and I genuinely hope it does not end on a cliffhanger. But right now, I just don't really see that I'm gonna push myself through another slow-ass brick like this. I'm interested and intrigued by Quoth's story and everything, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll see. Anyway, I feel like I might structure this vlog in a way that I'm going to update you whenever I finished another 100 pages, like whenever I meet 100-page mark, or just whenever I have something to say, really. I'm obviously trying not to spoil anything. The writing style is fantastic though. There's also a lot of social critique in this book and topics like that, so that's really interesting to see as well. But yeah, let's get to reading, shall we? I think I've talked about this book enough. Alright everybody, it is the next day, and before I tell you what I bought earlier, I want to first give you a quick reading update. Yesterday I was at page 338 of The Name of the Wind, and I made it up to page 401, which is really good because I met my goal. That is really good since I have to meet my goal in order to finish this book on time. Ever since I started this book and realized how slow it is going, I calculated how many days I have until I should have finished the book and how many pages there are in the book, meaning how many pages I have to read every single day in order to finish the book on time. During the first while, I often did not really meet that goal because it was going very slow. But ever since the book kind of reignited my interest, I need to read about 46 pages every day in order to finish this book on time. And the last couple of days, I have been reading about 60 to 70 pages every day. So I'm getting ahead, and I'm really liking that, and I'm really happy and proud of that. Honestly, the only thing I want to say, the only thought that really stuck with me about these last pages that I read yesterday is how beautifully music is described in this book. It's amazing. I mean, the whole writing is great, but the way music is described is just so good. There was a scene where music was put into words in such a way that left me speechless, frankly. Now, I obviously can't read that whole chapter to you, but there was another passage that I can just quickly read to you if I find the right tab. Here it is. My fingers danced. Intricate and quick, they spun something gossamer and tremulous into the circle of light our fire had made. The music moved like a spider web stirred by a gentle breath. It changed like a leaf, twisting as it falls to the ground. And there's so much more like that in the book, and that is honestly a fantastic thing. And I can't begin to imagine how difficult it might be to put music into words like that, which is fantastic. But let's now jump to what I bought earlier. I'm so excited. I went to the pharmacy and the grocery store, and there was a store that basically has almost everything. Like, they have batteries, they have cooking utensils, they have crafting materials, they have a lot of different stuff. And guess what? I bought stuff for my reading journal. Now, the first thing I bought was this white pen. It really is just a white pen, because I had bought a white gel pen before, but it just doesn't seem to work the way I want it to work. Like, I'm seeing all these people say, oh, I used this black paper and then I wrote on it with my white gel pen. But whenever I try to do that, my white gel pen, my new white gel pen, just doesn't cover the black paper. Like, it's just a very faint white, and it doesn't show much, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I don't know. And this is a kind of pen that you like have to shake and then like pump. I don't know, like, kids used to use these in school, so they should work for writing on black paper and such. Now, next up, I have bought washi tape, and let me just get this out of the... I saw these and they are so pretty. Look at these washi tapes. Like, this particular one this here with the writing on it, I'm not okay, bye. It says, I think you're awesome. I don't think I'm gonna use that one much, and I just think they look so pretty and also kind of elegant, if that makes any sense. Next thing I bought is something I have bought before, is these stacks where there's just different patterned paper in it, and I found them with new, like, they had new sets at the store with different patterns, and I was like, oh my god. It made me so excited. Let me show you the ones that I already own. Here, for example, I already own this one, and it basically has all the designs that are on the front. Just lots of different designs. And then I already own this one with like floral stuff. And now I saw this, and it has all these things. And I think these are so pretty, first of all, and I am going to put some good use to them. I feel like I've already put some good use to these, so they're gonna come in handy. Basically the same thing. I found these in small, like tiny. Look at them. They're so small and cute, and I found two of those They had more different sets of these, but I took these two with me, and they are so cute. They also have all sorts of different patterns. I'm not even sure if you can see anything when I flip through these, but like, I mean, you get the point. They have different patterns, and oftentimes I don't even need much paper. So I felt like this size would do just fine as well, and they're so pretty. Same with these. Such gorgeous color, like they're a little spring-ish, a little summery. I just love them so much already, and I cannot wait to start using them. Almost dropped that. Honestly, I'm thinking I might journal a bit right now because I haven't set up my January spread yet, and it is almost February. Like, there's about a week left of January, but I haven't really had much inspiration for my January spread yet. So I might do that because inspiration struck me today. So I might be able to put this stuff to good use already. So yeah, honestly, let's do that. And I might listen to some of my audiobook. Hello everybody, it has been a couple of days since we last talked. I believe the last time I updated you I was on page 401 of The Name of the Wind, and by now I have made a great deal of progress. Like, in the last, I think 3 days since we talked, I made it up to page 575. Which is so good because that means I have less than 100 pages left of the book. The reason I haven't updated you the past couple of days was because 2 days ago I was out and about most of the day, and yesterday I also went out and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna film an update once I'm back home, but then I got a headache and I didn't feel like filming anything at all. So that's why I'm only updating right now. But besides that, I also didn't really have much to update. I already talked about this. The book is really slow, so not much is happening. And I mean, at this point, I can't really talk about what exactly is going on anyway, because it would all be kind of spoilery. So it's hard to update. I feel like ever since Quoth, the main character, has arrived at the university, and I know I already talked about this, but ever since that happened, this book really managed to pull my focus back to the plot. Like, ever since then, it has been so much easier for me to stay focused on what I'm reading and what's going on, and not become distracted by other things, or like grab my phone after every single chapter to check anything on my phone, because at the beginning of the book that's literally what happened. Did I just say at the beginning of the phone? No. I struggled to get through like 40 pages in one day, simply because my focus kept slipping and I kept checking my phone all the time because I just wasn't 100% interested in what was going on, and it was going so slowly that I kept being distracted and everything. And that really decreased since he arrived at the university. I think it was actually on the day that I updated you the last time, but it happened after I updated you. I read 90 pages of this book in a single day. 90 pages, which first of all is quite a lot for me in general to read in a single day. To read 90 pages of this book in a single day is especially a lot because it's been going so slow, and because I've been struggling so much to even get through 20 or 30 or 40 pages in a single day at the beginning of the book. And now that has gotten so much better as well, and I've been getting through this book much easier. So I'm really positive that I'm going to finish this book by tomorrow, which would be one day before I should have it finished, which isn't that much in advance, but it's good and I'm really happy about that. Another thought that occurred to me that I want to share is, I know that in the beginning-ish I said that I don't really understood at that point how people got so excited after the ending of this book to read the next book immediately, and that they wanted to pick up the second book immediately. I still can't fully grasp that feeling and understand it, but I am feeling a bit more conflicted right now at the point where I'm at in the book, because I had been interested in Quoth's story the whole time, but given how the story and the plot has been unfolding for the past like 200 pages-ish maybe, or 150 pages-ish, something like that, I don't know. I didn't keep track of that exactly. But the way the plot and the story have been unfolding up until now, I have been getting more interested to see how it will continue. But I am genuinely not feeling going into another book that is as slow as this one. And I've heard that the second book is just as slow. And I genuinely am not in the mood for that, and I genuinely don't have the motivation for that, and I genuinely don't want to drag myself through that. So I'm really conflicted about that. I've been thinking, the thing is that I also feel like if I don't pick up the second book immediately after finishing the first book, I will never pick it up. Because then I'll just lose that motivation forever and I'll never continue the series. So I'll have to do it right away. But there are so many other books I would like to start after this book. And so I kind of don't want to spend another like 2 weeks on a slow-paced book like this, where there's not even the third book in the series out. I've been thinking about picking it up as like a side read and reading a different book that I really want to read, and you know, reading 2 books side by side, but I feel like I'm not the type for that. Like, I don't think that is for me. I know there's people out there that read like 5, 6 books at the same time, but I don't think that works for me. First of all, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to truly focus on each book. And second of all, because I feel like it wouldn't work time-wise for me. I mean, some days I really only have time to read for maybe half an hour. On usual days, I have time to read for an hour up to 3 hours. So if I read 2 books I don't even know if I'll manage to find the time to read 2 books at a time. You know what I mean? If I only have an hour of time to read in a day and I want to spend that hour reading 1 book, then the other will be neglected. And then the next day I only have 30 minutes to read and I want to spend that reading this book, and then the other will be neglected. So I don't know, I feel like that won't work for me. On the other hand, I also think that obviously I wouldn't be in any rush to finish the 2nd book. The only thing that would truly matter is that I started right after finishing this book, because as I said, otherwise I would lose the motivation. But if I finish the 2nd book only in May or whatever, that would be totally fine. I just really don't know if that would work for me. I mean, I could try, but I don't know. As you can see, I'm conflicted. I just am kind of excited to see where this book will be going, because as I said, there's less than 100 pages left of it now, so I'm excited to see how that will go. And I don't know if I'll update you another time in between, or maybe the next update will be when I finish the book. Everyone, guess what? I have finished The Name of the Wind. It is the next day, and it is 1 day before I would have to have the book finished. Was that an English sentence? I don't know. But I finished it, and oh my gosh, what a brick of a book. Now, I feel like I've already talked about this book so much that I'm gonna try to keep this last bit short. I'm just gonna try to give you a brief summary of some last concluding thoughts, okay? Let's try that. I won't promise anything, but I'll try. So all in all, I can definitely say that this book is slow. It's really, really slow. And I mean, it does kind of make sense because the main character is literally telling his life story, and he is telling it in the span of 3 days. And this is just day 1. I mean, imagine all the things you can tell if you're talking for an entire day. And just imagine sitting with someone and listening to them talk for an entire day. Yes, that takes a lot of time, and yes, that's slow at certain parts. So I get it from a storytelling point of view, but it was boring and a little dragging at times. However, I do have to say that I was and still am very interested and intrigued by the main character's life and his story. And I have decided that I am going to continue the series, even though I also think that I'm going to give this book like 3.5 stars. But I feel like if it hadn't been this slow, I would have probably given it 4 stars. maybe even a bit more. So that's that. The writing style in this was beautiful, even though I felt like the world building was lacking a tiny bit at some points. I mean, first of all, there was a map in the beginning of the book, a whole map of the world, or I don't know, maybe it's just part of the world, who knows. But I feel like I was barely able to actually use this map, because either the places that are mentioned on the map weren't really talked about in the story, or the places that are talked about in the story aren't mentioned on the map. And at other points it was just, I mean, the writing, like what was written beautifully, that's true, but at some points I felt like the descriptions of what was going on could have been a bit more detailed, in the sense of who is where and doing what right now. Because there were situations where I was reading and at some point one of the characters did something or mentioned that they were somewhere, and I was like, hang on, when did you get there? Or when did you stop doing that other thing? You know, stuff like that. And I mean, maybe it was on me because my focus was slipping, but then again, I don't have such bad focus. Like, I think I mentioned this before, but at some points this book was so slow that my focus kept slipping. And yes, that is on me, but that doesn't happen with other books. So I hope you get my point. I did like the humor though. I mean, it's not like I was laughing out loud all the time, but some characters had some pretty good lines here and there, I have to say that. One of the characters did something at the end that I really did not expect. So actually, up until now, I don't know what to think about that, so that's still to be decided. There are a lot of questions still unanswered, and I really do hope that they, or at least some of them, are being answered in the second book. I did decide to pick it up as like a side read because I genuinely am not in the mood for another slow read like this, but I do want to know what happens next, because there's a lot of foreshadowing in this book as well, which by the way was pretty cool too. So all in all, I think I had a decent time with this book. It wasn't bad or anything, but it was also not a new favorite of mine. But it was good enough to keep me interested for the second book, so take that as you will, I guess. And anyway, I really hope you guys have enjoyed this reading vlog. If you did, maybe give this video a thumbs up and perhaps let me know if you have read this book in the comments, and maybe let me know your opinion on it. If you haven't read this book, maybe just tell me what you're reading right now. Otherwise, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos that I will upload, or I will see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Bye!